Hey, everybody. Once again, this is your friendly tour guide, John Jennings. This is the final piece of our criteria review trilogy, and I'm feeling a little run down tonight, so I'm really going to try hard to keep this short and sweet. So this slide is probably getting pretty familiar by now. Again, the three pathways for project approval would be the conditional use application, which is the simplest way forward and would be reviewed by a local planning commission or hearings officer, usually planning commission. The goal exception, which we talked about last time, and is originally reviewed by a planning commission or hearings officer, usually a planning commission, who then make a recommendation to the local elected officials who make a final decision. All this happens in public hearings. The next step here with this segment is that goal exceptions are also often subject to ORS 215-446, and we'll get into that in just a second. Third pathway, of course, is the FSEC proceedings, and since that's really not at point here or on point here, we'll set that aside. And I know you guys have seen this slide before as well. I just wanted to use it again to underscore the extent of project sizes that are subject to LCDC's rules and are under local county jurisdiction. Obviously the floor is zero. Projects that start at zero, but then the ceiling, again, depending upon the land categories, are there on the right hand side. 240 for high value farmland, 2560 for what amounts to arable land that can be cultivated, and then 3840 for what amounts to dry land, range land, and also that would apply. We believe that would apply to forest land too. So ORS 215-446, it was added to the statutes in 2019. That was House Bill 2329. And probably more than anything else, it increased the size of facilities subject to local jurisdiction. For example, non-arable lands, the ceiling had been 320 acres, and this legislation elevated that ceiling to 1,920 acres. So it took it from half a section to 3 sections in size, and then it was further adjusted in 2023. I think that was House Bill 3179, and that elevated it further. Again with non-arable lands having gone from 320 to 1920 with House Bill 2329. House Bill 3179 took that from 1920 to 3840. So we went from half a section to 3 sections. So now where we're at is, I think, 6 sections. That's pretty good size. So in elevating the ceiling, making much larger projects subject to local authority, local jurisdiction, a couple other things were done. And so these larger projects no longer having to go through the Energy Facility Siting Council, ORS 215-446 does establish what I would refer to as a couple FSEC style review criteria that apply in addition to other things. We'll get to that in a little bit. And it also identified and increased the notice responsibility for counties receiving these applications to let other folks, agencies, and tribes know that these have been received and will be under review. So here's a snapshot of the criteria, what I refer to as FSEC style criteria. I've scaled these way back. There's a lot more language. Please, if you have any questions, look at the statute or ask about it. But basically, it talks about consulting with ODF and W, and this can and does result in mitigation plans. B, demonstrate that there will not be adverse impacts to historic, cultural, and archaeological resources, and goes on to kind of describe what those are. Demonstrate the site can be restored adequately. That's retirement, right? And that applies a little differently depending upon the size. The very, very largest size projects, I believe, need to actually post a bond or other financial security the kind of medium-sized projects, I think, have to demonstrate that it's reasonably likely that they can have the financial resources necessary. And then the final piece is um, any other of the energy facility criteria, basically any other FSEC criteria that the county determines are applicable. So here's a listing of the entities that a county is obligated to give notice to, send notice to, when they receive an application. See, Department of Fish and Wildlife, Department of Energy, SHPO, State Preservation Office, Aviation, United States Department of Defense, and federally recognized Indian tribes may be affected by the application. So that is it for now, you guys. Thank you for hanging in there with us. As always, please do come to this subject with an open mind and a creative spirit and a sense of humor. And we'll be talking to you soon.